Hey everybody, my name is Jonathan Core, and in today's marketing talk, I'm going to be talking to the Global Product Marketing Manager at Amazon here in Seattle, Washington. My guest, Christine Bekoe, has a background in marketing and in sales, working for both Amazon and the Coca-Cola Company. Thanks for hopping on this call, Christine.
Thanks for having me, John.
Awesome. So let's kick this right off. Obviously, I gave a quick little intro about who you are, but would you mind elaborating just a little bit more on who you are, what you do, as well as some of the customers and clients you're working with on a daily basis?
Sure. My name is Christine Bekoe, and I work directly with Amazon, helping brands and entrepreneurs of all sizes simplify expanding international. Whether you're a big business or you're a small business, what I do is I help brands and entrepreneurs decide whether they should consider global expansion, because it's super easy to think that and be overwhelmed that with its perceived complexity. So my role is to create the right information architecture across key channels to communicate the right message. But before we do get kicked off, I do have to state that these opinions are my own and not the views of my employer. So thanks again, John, for having me on.
No problem. Thanks for that clarity. So now, obviously, COVID-19 or coronavirus has been affecting a lot of different people. From your role or from your perspective, has it affected you much as a marketer? And if so, how are you adapting and how are you adjusting to the current pandemic?
Sure. Our business, I think, like any other business, has been impacted by COVID. And specifically as a marketer, the right message at the right time has amplified importance. So like any other name brands that it's been a delicate balance of adjusting to our current environment quickly, but also carefully to ensure that we're maintaining and building trust, or maintaining trust with our customers at every level and in any function. I think from an employee standpoint, it's made me more grateful about the opportunity to be flexible in my work environment. So I'm working at home, and essentially I can do my job from anywhere in the world. And then also from a consumer standpoint, I think it's made me very curious about what new categories of technology and product is going to be sustained, but also emerge post-COVID. I think there's going to be a new normal that happens, and I'm super eager to see what that actually looks like.
So now going specifically into your background, you're initially from Illinois, right? St. Louis area. Awesome. So
Illinois, Champaign, Illinois, but I worked in St.
Champagne.
Louis for about 3.5 years.
There we go. And so you have your BS in accountancy and worked for Coca-Cola in Illinois as a director of sales or district sales manager. And I also know that you recently got your MBA in innovation and marketing in 2019. Congrats. That's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So my curiosity is obviously you were in sales, more of a sales role in Illinois, and then now you're the global product marketing manager for Amazon. How did that transition or that evolution take place from sales and more evolving into more of a marketing role?
That is a really great question. So I think initially when I was thinking of my undergrad, accounting, they had a really strong accounting program. I think number one or number two in the country. So I definitely wanted to take advantage of that. But more importantly, accounting really is the language of business and understanding, how financial statements work with each other and kind of what the bottom line of the business looks like is super important, no matter what function or what role you have in any career. So that's actually why I pursued accounting. But I realized, I think, in my last semester that I don't know if I can do debits and credits and auditing for the rest of my life. So I pursued a career in sales, which is also super pertinent to the business, to understand what's happening at the customer level. And that's how I got started at Coca-Cola and moved up to an actual district manager, managing a team of sales reps, looking to grow Coca-Cola's presence within their given territory. And now here at Amazon, working within marketing, and actually most of my Amazon career has been in the sales role, recruiting, again, brands organically that have never considered Amazon as a channel for their business, but now working more so in a global capacity complexity, helping sellers decide where to expand to, but also how do I make something that's super complex really simple in a way that makes sense from a one to many perspective. So that's kind
No,
of how that evolved in my career.
awesome. So I'm curious more on your feedback from a sales perspective. How has that background and that foundation helped you now in marketing? Like, because oftentimes I see different marketing people, and this is just my own opinion as well. Don't have a sales background directly, but are focused more on the creative, focus more on the obviously customer acquisition, but less outbound approach, less cold calling, less email, cold emails, all these different things. So how has sales helped you in your marketing role today?
Yeah, I think it's had a direct impact and it's definitely shaped and fueled my decisions as a marketer. And asking the question, does it make sense at any level? Because I think and when you're in a sales role, you're kind of getting what everyone has created and developed and marketed. And you have to basically take what that product has been and talk to your potential customers about it and get them to make the decision of yes, but also follow through with throughout the entire process. And so I think as a marketer, it's been a lot more smoother for me to have a solid relationship with our sales teams to make sure that they have the right collateral and make sure that we're also conveying the right message. So whatever is happening from a one-to-one perspective, we have to shape it and create it in a way that's also applicable from a macro level perspective and really making sure that we're talking to our customers or our B2B customers one to many. So I think that's definitely fueled and shaped my decisions as a marketer is making sure that we're asking the question, does it make sense?
So with your role as a global product marketing manager, what aspects of your job have just surprised you the most?
Yeah, I would say what surprised me the most is being able to be agile. Anything can happen at any moment and any day, and that's just the environment that we live in. I think it's more prevalent when it comes to global e-commerce. Anything that can happen with kind of our political and economic environment that can really shape how entrepreneurs grow and think about their business. So I think that's really what surprised me the most is really how much external factors can really play a huge impact in how B2B customers are making decisions.
So this is a more specific question on you just mentioned e-commerce, and I know that's the main focus that you have within your role. Um, let's assume there's some e-commerce marketers out there who do have a product, who do have a store, and are looking at collaborating, with Amazon. How would they go about that, about doing those initial steps?
So you're just talking about just a general business or just from a global perspective?
Maybe general business because I'm sure that's normally how it would start, and then then you guys take it from an actual global expansion. You mentioned that
Yeah.
earlier, so yeah, if you could speak a
So they
little to
would,
that.
yeah, so they would go to sell.amazon.com and learn the process it takes to start their first sale as a third-party seller on Amazon.com. And they have a really great journey that they take you through so that way you can understand sort of what's required and what's involved in becoming a third-party seller on Amazon and making Amazon's customers your customers too. And then once you figure out how to do that locally, it's really easy to make that applicable to expanding to another marketplace because it's the same tools, same resources that any seller has the ability to duplicate their success in the U.S. marketplace or wherever their home marketplace is into another Amazon store in another world, in another country.
Awesome. So you've experienced a lot of growth within Amazon, within the Coca-Cola company. I'm curious, what skills or characteristics do you think helped you like grow into these roles and obviously, allow for promotions and different opportunities to present themselves just within an organization like Amazon or even Coca-Cola company?
Sure. I think it's learning and being curious and making sure that not only are you just hitting your kind of your individual market metrics that you've been hired to do, but also thinking about other opportunities that might exist within the business, something that is also going to impact your immediate team, and that's going to be seen as super valuable. So, and not being afraid to attack, an issue or a problem that you see, and being able to qualify and quantify that issue is also super important. So that way you can understand what sort of impact that you're making at any level.
So now when it comes to a changing, ever changing, market like it is online and everything that has to do online, how do you stay up to date with trends or certain like tactics that are going on, or even, certain platforms that are rising up, or certain products, from your perspective?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I think in every season, it's looked differently for me. Again, asking the question, does it make sense is super important. And the way I actually stay on the cutting edge is to make sure that I'm proactively seeking feedback from who I consider to be my customers. You can be the most knowledgeable marketer in the world, but if you don't understand your customers' needs, it's going to be really hard, really difficult for you to be effective. So I think in order to stay like on the cutting edge of marketing, you always have to make sure you're staying on the cutting edge of knowing what your customer needs are and how they're evolving based on the environment that you're in, and being able to make those changes and be agile to whatever environment that you're in.
That's awesome, and obviously hearing it from an Amazonian, the customer obsession is very pinnacle, and I think that's been probably the biggest contribution to the overall success, for Amazon, is adjusting to the customer. I think that's great advice. So now, if you were to start over again, within your career, what sort of advice would you give yourself?
Yeah, I would say to start at a macro level, when you're looking at an issue or approaching a problem. It's super important to understand, kind of at a macro level, to understand what the problem actually is, and then supplement it with micro level information. So think like anecdotes or voice of customers, so that way you can dive into what the actual issue is. If you do the opposite, you might be missing out on a trend or an opportunity that's evolving because you were kind of stuck in your own hypothesis based on based on your personal experience, and you were able to qualify and quantify that particular issue accordingly. So I think it's super important to use both, the macro level information and data to be able to couple that into kind of anecdotes and voice of customers to really be able to dive into this particular problem or issue you're looking to solve.
Okay. And what advice would you give to somebody who's either newer in marketing, or potentially, might be furloughed or laid off right now? What type of advice or encouragement would you give to them right now?
Sure. If you're looking for opportunities, be persistent. You never know what might come up. And then also be consistent in the opportunities that you're looking for based on where you have a related skill set in terms of experience, but also you actually like and you have a passion for. And then if you don't feel like you have a related skill set based on something that you're passionate for, don't be afraid to develop a new skill, or now is the time to really start building your portfolio, and practice individually what you want to do in the next role, what you want to do at a corporate level. And one thing I would always say is that looking at the job description, don't let the 65 years of experience requirements prevent you from applying, especially if you meet a lot of the other requirements. And you can definitely speak to the experience that you have had in your current role. Use that. You never know. Someone that might have the 65 years of experience, may have been able to gain that within 5 years or less. Who knows? Definitely don't be afraid to look at those roles and apply for them, but also, be realistic based off of where you've had experience in doing that particular role.
That's great advice. Love it. So now, going into the last part of this conversation, I have the rapid fire questions. And the first question I have is, what's your favorite marketing tool or software that you're currently using?
Yeah, I'd say Adobe Analytics goes back to the data, knowing the core information, visits, unique visitors, how much time is spent on your content. It helps you shape kind of what you do next. But I'll also answer this question differently. I'm really curious about, because I don't do a ton of B2C marketing, there's a company called Decibel that I've been able to I've had a conversation with. And what they do is they actually look at how customers are navigating on your site, where they're having points of areas of frustration. So that's something I've been really curious about. So that would be a cool marketing tool to kind of dive into as well.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. So, what is your favorite online marketing course or just course that you've taken online just to learn and upskill within your role and the area of, the career that you're going through?
Sure. Well, Coursera has a plethora of courses, and I was actually exposed to Coursera in my MBA because all the learning was online and it was coupled with Coursera content and videos. But in Coursera, there's a course by Hayden Noel. He does some really core marketing courses that really help you, look at Harvard Business Reviews, so HBR case studies, and really apply it, but really challenge you in how you're thinking and in your thought patterns and how you're approaching the specific issue and really diving into the case study.
Awesome. I will for sure add that link in the description below.
Sure.
So now, what is your favorite business or marketing book?
Yeah, so this actually is someone, an HRBP actually gave this to me a lot earlier in my career. I think it was like my second year in my career after college. It's a book called Fierce Conversations, and it basically shows you how to make the most of the conversations that you are having in the right way, taking emotion out and bringing facts in, and making sure that you're communicating, the right message in any part of your life. So whether it's personally, professionally, in whatever aspect, it really kind of helps you become a little bit more concise and more pointed and directed in the conversations that you are having to make sure that you're making progress in whatever topic you're looking to make progress in.
And now, do you have a favorite marketer, either from afar, from somebody you admire that you've maybe studied or looked into, or somebody that maybe even within your team or organization that you admire?
That's a really great question, and I hate to. This is the only question I'm going to do this to you on, but I actually don't. Actually, don't yet. So I'm going to look at some of your other videos to see who are some of the other folks' favorite marketers to look into that and find one for myself. So.
Great. Well, thank you for answering those questions. So now, if people are interested in connecting with you or learning more about what you do, what platforms or channels can they link up with you at?
Yeah, LinkedIn. So Christine with the CH and Bekoe with the Bekoe. So thanks so much.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on this call and sharing your knowledge with the community online, your experience, and then also some of the resources that have helped you within your marketing career. And thanks for hopping on this call, Christine.
All right, appreciate it, John.